Welcome to This Explainer. Look, if you've ever sat there staring at a blank screen just agonizing over how to actually structure a high-level academic essay, you are in exactly the right place. Today we're doing something super practical. We're going to literally x-ray a masterclass critical essay from James Cook University to build you a foolproof mental blueprint for academic writing. Let's get right into it.
Here's our roadmap. We'll hit the anatomy of an essay, crafting the introduction, building strong body paragraphs, concluding with impact, and then we'll wrap up by mastering APA referencing. To make sense of all this, we're relying on a super handy color-coded feedback system used by the university. It breaks our blueprint down into 3 layers. Blue is all about strict formatting rules. Red covers the actual academic writing and how you address the prompt. And yellow? That's your referencing guidelines. Keeping these 3 buckets in mind is an absolute game changer for your next assignment.
Okay, starting with Section 1, the anatomy of an essay, our macro blueprint.
So taking a really wide-angle view first, before we even read a single word, the document needs to be built right. Looking at the sample title page, the blue formatting annotations show us a really strict but honestly beautiful architectural standard. No wild graphics, no crazy oversized fonts. It's just perfectly centered, double-spaced, clean information, subject code, task, your details, word count, boom. You're instantly setting a tone of total professionalism.
Now, these might feel like annoying little details, but these non-negotiable formatting rules are literally the scaffolding that holds your entire argument up. You've got to have those 2.54 centimeter margins all the way around. Double-line spacing is a must to give your text room to breathe. Stick to a basic size 12 font, Times New Roman or Arial. Make sure your page numbers are in the top right corner starting on page 1, and keep those paragraphs left aligned and indented. Nail this blue scaffolding, and your professor can focus 100% on your ideas instead of, tripping over a messy layout.
Moving on to Section 2, crafting the introduction, or as we like to call it, the funnel.
So we're dropping down to page 2, transitioning into those red academic writing guidelines. This is where we hook the reader. And a perfectly crafted intro works exactly like a funnel. Seriously, picture a funnel. You don't just dump hyper-specific details on the reader right away, but you also don't just wander aimlessly. You gently guide them from a broad, relatable concept all the way down to your very specific, razor-sharp thesis statement.
It all comes down to a really specific 3-step flow. First, you open with general statements to orient your reader. In the source sample, they actually kick things off by discussing how language frames every aspect of our lives. Simple, right? Step 2, you narrow it down. You state the exact scope of the essay and introduce your theoretical lens. Like, who are the key theorists here? What's the angle? And finally, Step 3, the absolute tip of the funnel. You state your core thesis position and clearly map out exactly where the body paragraphs are headed. Follow the sequence and there's zero confusion about what you're arguing.
All right, let's zoom in on Section 3, building strong body paragraphs. This is the core.
This is where your argument actually lives and breathes. And every single body paragraph has to follow a strict 3-part internal structure. Think of it like a mini essay inside your actual essay. Number 1, the topic sentence, goes right at the top, clearly states the central idea of that specific paragraph. Number 2, your supporting evidence. This is where you unpack the idea using paraphrased, correctly cited examples from scholarly literature. And number 3, the concluding statement. Please don't just stop typing abruptly. Give us a sentence that ties the evidence together and creates a smooth, logical bridge to the very next idea.
Now, as this masterclass essay gets into the heavier theory, like pitting Skinner's behaviorism against Chomsky's ideas on language acquisition, pay attention to the connectives. Words like however or according to, they aren't just there to bump up your word count. They're the connective tissue that highlights alternative viewpoints and carries your reader effortlessly through a complex logical argument. And here's a massive red annotation writing tweak that literally separates the amateurs from the pros. Take a look at how you can avoid repetitive phrasing. Instead of hammering the reader with the noun children over and over again, like children learn, children cry, children develop, use cohesive devices. Swap it out for a pronoun like they. It makes the logic flow so much better. But actually, scratch that. There's a big caveat here highlighted in our source material. Do not overuse the pronoun either. If you drop they 5 times in 2 sentences, you're right back to being repetitive. You're aiming for a balanced, natural flow.
Which brings us to Section 4. Concluding with impact, the final wrap.
All right, so you've built this robust, evidence-heavy body, and now you're at the conclusion. This is the final seal on your blueprint. Listen, your conclusion is not the place for a sudden burst of inspiration. It's a mirror. It reflects your introduction and confirms exactly what you promised at the start. Here are the golden rules. Restate your overall thesis. Reiterate the heavy-hitting evidence you used to prove it. Outline why this all actually matters. And the biggest rule of all, never, ever introduce new ideas or information, period. If it wasn't in the body of the essay, it does not belong in the conclusion.
To see this in action, look at how a strong conclusion directly echoes the thesis established way back on page 1. The intro promised to discuss stages of language development, related theories, and environmental factors. And what do you know? The conclusion circles back to those exact same points, tying a neat little bow on the entire package. It builds massive integrity for your argument.
Finally, we hit Section 5, Mastering APA Referencing, Navigating Those Yellow Rules. We're in the yellow guidelines now, the most detailed and, honestly, most dreaded part of the blueprint. Let's tackle acronyms, a huge stumbling block for students. The golden rule? You absolutely must define an acronym the very first time you use it. For instance, you have to write out National Institute on Deafness and Other Communication Disorders in full, right there in the text, and then put NIDCD in brackets right next to it. Once you've paid that toll, you're free to just use the snappy acronym for the rest of the paper.
Oh, and here is a fantastic trick to instantly level up how deep your research looks: the citation punctuation formula. Let's say you have multiple sources backing up one single point. Combine those citations in your brackets using a semicolon, and make sure you list them in strict alphabetical order. That little semicolon is a structural joint. It basically signals to your professor, hey, these ideas are independent, but they perfectly align to back up my argument. It's a great flex.
And at last, the reference list. Think of this as the ultimate receipt for all your academic labor. It's proof you did the work. Start it on a brand new page. Arrange every single entry in strict alphabetical order by the author's last name. Keep that double-line spacing going. And make sure you're bringing a solid mix of scholarly sources to the table. Peer-reviewed journals, academic books, highly credible institutional websites. Variety is key.
For the final visual polish, you need the hanging indent. That's where the first line of a reference sits flush left, but every line after that is indented a bit to the right. Please, for the love of formatting, do not sit there hitting the spacebar manually. It's so easy. Just highlight your list and hit Control-T on a PC or Command-T on a Mac. Boom! Instantly perfect.
So by treating an essay not as some terrifying blank Word document, but as a systematic assembly of perfectly formatted, logically connected parts, you literally unlock a completely new level of academic writing. You've got the blue scaffolding, the red funnel and body mechanics, and the yellow referencing rules. So here's my question for you. Now that you possess this masterclass blueprint, how are you going to construct your next academic argument? Take these tools, apply them to your next prompt, and just watch your writing transform. Thanks for hanging out for this explainer, and happy writing!